What's that?
What's happening? Not what's happening. What's happening? How are you, everybody? It is thus once again Friday, and here we are to do our usual song and dance routine. We are known as the dance troupe of the Battle Bros. My name is Mac. This is Alamo. I ran out of
Hello.
gas so fast on that one. Oh, you kept it going. Damn it. Good stuff. Good stuff. What's going on, everybody? Hope everybody had a decent to good week. Fair to Midland, as they say in some parts of the South and Texas and stuff. Yeah. So if you're new to the show, we're two guys that have been friends for a long ass time, and we do a podcast. How exactly we are able to do that every week is a mystery for the ages, because we get on here and we fuck around and dick dance and do all that kind of dumb shit that we did, like we used to do in the army, and it's quite it's literally an amazing feat that we're able to do a show. So it's like, all right, cool, we can do that. So hopefully you like what you hear, see, watch, consume, all that good stuff. If you're new to this, then just sit back, relax, and hopefully you'll have a good conversation with us. So if you've been on our or witnessed our show before, or watched our show, or consumed it in some way, shape, or form, thank you so much for being a part of this. And also thank you very much for coming back and saying, you know what, these guys are a little bit off the wall and off center and wrong, but hopefully talk about good shit. So it's like, cool. I'll take all those compliments and insults, and we'll keep striving to do our thing. So all good. If you caught our show last week, we were talking about addiction part 2. We kind of focused a little bit more on the post-recovery. We talked about post-acute withdrawal syndrome primarily as part of that conversation. If you want to go back and check it out, you can go on to our YouTube channel, Battle Bros Podcast, and just search episode 129, entitled Addiction Part 2. The Road to Recovery, I believe, is what the other part of the title was. I don't recall offhand, because what a month this week has been. I will just say that. This is hopefully not going to be a very long-winded show, but it's kind of a little bit more nitty gritty, to the point kind of thing. So let's just get right into it. We don't have any news articles this week, and I'll explain why. We were kind of doing our secondary meeting. We have 2 meetings a week. We do one on Tuesday night and one on Thursday night. Kind of Tuesday we discuss or kind of get the plans in motion of what we're going to talk about, how we're going to discuss it, that kind of thing. And then Thursday we finalize, get the op order complete, and then do our, sequence of march and all that kind of stuff, and then go from there. Well, last night when we were talking about our episode, we got some advice from our good friend Brian. Seems to be a pattern lately. Yes, I know, but he is our unofficial member of the Battle Bros podcast, along with your lovely wife, Tisha, both unofficial members of the Battle Bros crew. We can't call it the Battle Bros crew. That's BBC. No. They are fully sworn members of the Battle
Brogade.
There we go. They are fully fledged Brogade members. So
the Battle Brogade.
The Battle Brogade, exactly.
Yeah.
So we kind of had an idea of what we wanted to talk about, but the verbiage that we were going to use could be a little bit construed. The vernacular, the lexicon, so to speak. Just kind of, it's a little bit of a hot topic issue, so we kind of had to take this back to the drawing board and reconceptualize how we were going to discuss this. So we kind of had a specific thing in motion, but just the labels that we were using and the descriptors and the definitions and stuff, it was like, bro, that's a landmine, that's a minefield. Steer clear of that kind of stuff. And I'm like, Roger,
let's just say
out, call for EOD. So
let's just say it would have drawn us some ire from both sides of the political spectrum.
I'm good with that. I'm good with that description. It just would have taken away from the conversation we were trying to have, as opposed to focusing on what we wanted to discuss. It would kind of get a little bit of a distraction there. So this is episode 130 entitled Melting Pot Culture and Its Unfortunate Rivalries. Okay.
Indeed.
So before we get into this, I want you to kind of imagine and picture in your mind's eye a bit of a scenario. Alamo, if you can kind of describe what we were going to talk about, that scenario, like what you talked about, the situation during the holidays and stuff, just to paint a very descript, clear picture, I would appreciate it, my man.
Yeah. Okay, so I've spoken about this before. This was on a holiday, like before, like we actually ended up deploying. We were stationed in Germany at the time, and like myself and a couple of the other guys, we all got together in the barracks floor kitchen, which I think we all had, like, I think every floor in that freaking barracks had one kitchen per floor, and there was like, I think like four. I think there was either four floor. I think it was four floors to every freaking and there were four floors to every freaking
Building.
building. Yeah, I don't know why I couldn't get that out.
You're good. I got you, bro.
So, like, I remember, I'm pretty sure I had bought like an ass ton of discs, and I just made a whole ass ton of empanadas. And then my buddy Calfa, he ended up cooking something. Ward ended up cooking something. Love you, buddy. Miss you. I think even Johnny, I think like my buddy Pena, he even cooked something too. He cooked something from the Colombian side. Ward cooked something, that was obviously very, what you call it, from like Louisiana. Jimmy cooked something very Italian. And then my other buddy Miranda, he was from, if I remember correctly, he was from Ghost Company. He didn't, damn, what did he cook? Honestly, I don't even remember, but I know it was another Puerto Rican dish. We essentially had two Puerto Rican dishes, one Colombian, one like from Louisiana. And
did he happen to make some sancocho?
No.
Mofongo?
No, it wasn't mofongo either. It was a stew of some kind, but I can't remember which one.
Okay, yeah. I think Mima made some stuff like that a while back. It was like beef and vegetable stew or something, but it's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he made that, and then like, I mean, it was so freaking crazy how like out of nowhere you just had guys from all across the floor, like, because
they're probably they're probably doing one of these things. It's like, hey, you cooking something, bro?
Basically. Because I mean, honestly, like a lot of the guys went home, a lot of the guys didn't.
Oh man!
So the guys that remained on the floor with us, they all like freaking came up, and they're like, they walked, like one of the sniper platoon guys came, and like he came like literally by the door. He goes, "You guys cooking something? What do you guys got going on?" It was like the best freaking reaction. Like, we're like, yeah, we're cooking. Like, we got a bunch of food, man. Yeah, it's holidays, man. Come on.
You guys got room for one more?
I think during that time, I'm almost positive it was Thanksgiving, because I don't think we went to we didn't go to any one of anybody's house at the time, because if I remember correctly, there was some like odd weather, and we just kind of just stuck to the barracks.
Did that happen a lot in Germany? Did you get like really nasty weather?
I mean, it rained a lot. Apparently in Germany, snow, like good snow, is like kind of rare. Apparently, at least that's what I found out when I was there.
Or was it just that area you were in Vilsek?
In Vilsek, maybe, because I mean it is the southern part of the country. But I do remember we had a like damn good whiteout, like a really good whiteout, like, and it was like right before Christmas.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And it was awesome, because like a lot of the guys, they had never seen snow before. So especially my buddy Ward, and him being from freaking Slidell, Louisiana, over there by Nolans, as he would like to say. Um, I mean, it was the funniest thing because you see this big ass country boy walking outside, and he's just like, oh, oh, like he's got the light of a kid's eyes in his face, just like, oh, like just trying to catch snow in his mouth, like a freaking reject.
Hey, that's a magical moment, dude. Like I remember mine wasn't quite so magical. It was just more like dumbfoundedness. Like I remember it was me and my buddy Broomfield were on the guard gate, and it was like we were supposed to be done with shift at like 05:45 in the morning because we had to man the front gate from like 17:45 till like 23:45, and then 23:45 to 05:45. So like 6-hour blocks. And we were getting ready to get off one night, and it was getting to be wintertime in northern Afghanistan. And I just see like it was like somebody had like shook their head and had dandruff falling out of the sky. I'm like, Ruby, yeah. Is that snow? He goes, yeah. I'm like, cool. And I was just like trying to take in the moment, dude. I was a young kid, man. I was fucking young and stupid, but I was just like enamored. I was like, wow.
Yeah. But it was cool though, because guys from like areas of the South that like they've never experienced that before,
Yeah.
And to include my buddy Ward, and they were just like in awe, I guess. Like one of my buddies, Petrovich, he ended up getting a snowboard, and it snowed so good that because they knew about all like the ski resorts and all that stuff in Germany when we moved there. So he ended up getting himself a snowboard because he used to skateboard when he lived out in Texas, but they never really got snow like that.
Yeah.
And he wanted to start going to the resorts and stuff in Europe and like just kind of visit like all those places. And he was like, bro,
hog heaven, dude.
Oh, dude. He's like, bro, I'm gonna go fucking get my I'm gonna go get my snowboard. I'm gonna fucking snowboard down this hill. Because we had some pretty good hills in a couple areas in the freaking on the base.
In like the company and battalion area and stuff?
Nah, it was more like I'm gonna describe it, but like I'm gonna describe it from like as if I was navigating it, but bear with me. Like basically, like you had our barracks building, and then you had like the main street over here. You had a restaurant to the rear of us. Like essentially, there was a set of hills. Like as you went down the street this way, there were like a set of hills. And I can't remember how exactly it was oriented, if we were north or south facing. But I do remember that the building was here, restaurant was here, street was here, and then off to this side was a bunch of hills. And like they were not huge, right? But they were enough where if you got a pretty good snowdrift, you could glide down that thing. And sure enough, dude, we're talking about freaking what you call it? The some of our leaders that like actually decided to stay for the holiday season, they were snowed out. They couldn't come down onto base because the snow was just too much. They had black ice everywhere, so it was dangerous conditions. Like nobody could really drive either off or onto the base for a while.
So me being a practically lifelong Florida guy, that black ice stuff is no joke.
No, black ice is nuts. I actually, in a rental car, I actually slid a little bit. Luckily, I was able to get control of it, but I was like, oh shit. You know how it's kind of like that moment.
Mr. Sulu, pucker factor 5. Oh, we're there, Captain.
It's kind of like that moment where you accidentally go into the brown eye, and it's just like,
okay, that got.
Really, and
what is it about? Really, bro? Like again, you're doing the weirdness again? Like we did it before the show, now we're doing it on the show. Jesus.
I had to
I'm not
get you, dude. I had to
Listen,
get you.
man, let's just keep going. So anyway, so we're gonna kind of circle this back around here. So you could say that you had, for that time, you had all these different, various, and diverse
Yeah.
cultures and cuisines coming together, and guys got to experience
Yes.
that who might not have got to experience it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So that's kind of what we're talking about when we're speaking about melting pot culture. So the way that this came up is our friend Brian was talking about he went out to visit a friend of his out in New Mexico, and it was near, I believe, an Air Force base out there, but they have on post housing for retirees, which his friend, I believe, is a retired sergeant major. I think I'm like 95% certain of that. And I think he lives somewhere off there, or he might live on base, but they have on base housing and whatnot. And he goes, it's so different because it's out in the Southwest. Everybody's a retiree. So everybody's got their military stuff. They're respectful. Plus, you're right there. You've got the commissary and stuff that you can go shopping at for the grocery store, which is nice. And it's so different. Like, I don't really think they have that down here because McDill is so jam packed full of you've got CENTCOM, you've got SOCOM, you've got SOCCENT, you've got 6AMW, like you've got
Shoot. MacDill by itself is a freaking melting pot.
it is 100%. 100%. I always find it kind of interesting, like the stories you hear about guys that are from this area trying to get on to McDill so they can stay at home. It's like, why? Like, go travel somewhere, go see something, man. Like,
Yeah.
but it goes back to that old adage or that whole like hypothetical story. You could have a sailor who's assigned to Pearl Harbor Hickman out in Hawaii. You could have a Marine who's at Kaneohe Bay, K Bay in, or not K Bay, Iwakuni, Japan. You could have an Air Force guy who's at Air Guy. Why the fuck did I say that?
There was also Oki too. You can't forget Oki.
Well, Okinawa, yeah, Iwakuni and Okinawa in that same kind of area of the world. You could have an Air Force guy who's at the base in Diego Garcia, which is out in the middle of the Atlantic near Africa, and you could have an Army guy who is in Fort Riley, Kansas, landlocked, but he's in Fort Riley, Kansas. They're all going to have something commonality of experiential reality that they can kind of share and talk about, and this kind of other thing. But what's interesting though is you have that melting pot where, like Alamo was talking about, where guys come together and they get that cultural, immersion just from like I would love to just be a fly on the wall and just to smell all that food cooking, the Italian stuff, the Hispanic food. I mean, when you got guys in there going, "Hey man, what you got?" Stuff. It's like when you have somebody, you're out in the field on like a 30-day field problem, or you're out in the field for a couple weeks and your senses get really honed in. And you're like, hey, somebody's got the jalapeno cheese over there. I'll trade you.
I still feel like I think he made rice of some kind, if I remember correctly.
That makes sense.
I'm almost positive he did. I think.
I would kill a plate of ropa vieja right now, dude. Oh.
Yes, sir.
I need to take my daughter to the Columbia because they got all that great food down there, but I also want to take her when they do the flamenco dancing, and they have they wear all the gorgeous gowns and the dress and stuff, and I want to take her to that so bad. It would be awesome. So, but anyway, so we talk about that melting pot, and it's like I caught shit from some people a couple of times because like all you want to do is hire veterans. I'm like, yeah. Because they have enough of that experience where it's diverse, but it's also pretty similar. Like all those examples I gave of the people around the world, like they're gonna have something they're gonna bitch about.
That reminds me of something.
What's up?
Now that you mention that, dude, like I've also seen people turn around being in the military. I don't remember the guy's name. I feel like my buddy.
Can you elaborate a little bit? What do you mean by turn around?
So essentially, this guy used to have certain beliefs. I can't really, because of the YouTube algorithm, I can't say the word because it'll flag the freaking video because the algorithm's retarded. But basically, he had.
If we don't get flagged for that word, I mean, hey, but whatever.
Yeah, no kidding. But so
Dude, just say it and beep yourself. You got the soundboard right there.
Oh yeah, hold on, wait.
No. I'm just kidding. Don't do that because you'll mess up and won't say it, or something will happen and it won't bleep at the right time. It's like,
Oh, what? I don't have the beep.
oh, that's because it was on the physical soundboard. Never mind. Anyway,
Oh,
continue
that's
on, please.
right. Yeah, it was on the physical soundboard. That's okay. I'll add it on.
Do,
We could,
do, do.
we could. That's the one thing we could add more to. But
Oh, really? Oh, cool.
yeah.
Dopey dope.
Without having to upgrade anyway.
So
So
certain personal beliefs.
so certain personal beliefs of the, let's just say the
Not quite the popular opinion about things.
well, definitely one of those. Let's just say he did not like people of certain
Backgrounds.
backgrounds slash
Okay.
ethnic, what
Okay.
you call us.
And we'll leave that alone and we'll keep going
We'll
before.
just keep going before that goes down, before it goes down. So either way, this guy, like when we came in and like I got to know him for a little bit, like, and honestly I didn't really see him after that, right? And again, like I said, I think my buddy Chubbs would know his name but I don't remember his name, but I guarantee my buddy Chubbs, aka Cunningham, I know for a fact he would know who it was.
Okay.
This guy, one of his, it ended up like because I didn't see him specifically for at least a year, almost 2 years or something like that.
Okay.
And like he ended up, I don't remember how we ended up running into him. I can't remember if it was online or I don't remember how the hell, but he ended up like being like, one of my best freaking, what you call it, one of my best friends ended, was person of a certain ethnic group. And it was like, who said that? Oh, so and so said that. He said that? No. And this was after they had gone overseas and served in combat. And it's like, the melting, it changes you over time. It makes you, you know what I mean? And I think that's one of the strongest kind of like arguments I could have for like the military.
Yeah.
And is basically that, like, it forces you to experience things with other people that you would normally never ever experience life with.
Yeah.
And rivalries or other kinds of like beefs and things like that, you realize at a certain point mean doodly freaking squat.
Yeah.
And I think that's why a lot of military veterans end up working so well with others and have such a
even if it's not a tight knit, like, and I'm sorry to cut you off here, dude, but
no, you're good.
I think I know where you're going with this, and I wanted to interject before I lose this thought out of my brain. But
no, you're good.
It's even if they're not like super tight knit, they just kind of have that understanding. It's like, okay, we're all here to do a job, and everybody chips in. Like when I was working at the second retail store that I worked at, I had a guy who was a Marine who was combat engineers. I had a guy, our friend Kyle, who came on our show, who was, a ranger with First Ranger Bat. He was a dog handler and all that stuff. Had another guy, Cody, fantastic dude. He was an infantry Marine, but he also did, he was on the security detachment for the commandant of the Marine Corps at the Marine Corps barracks at 8th and I, headquarters, Marine Corps in DC and stuff. Had another
What have you done to my beloved Corps?
Another guy, Sean, who started off as a refueler, but he then went to I think he left and ended up becoming a security forces guy for the Air Force. So, like, at the end of the day, it's like nobody really complained too much. Like, we just went out, got the shit done that we needed to get done for the end of the night, clean up, restock and stuff. And it's like, all right, cool. We got things done. And it was great, And I think this is conjecture on my part, but I think some of the guys up front just kind of were a little bit, I don't want to say jealous, but they just like saw like we worked really well together. It's like everybody pitched in, we all rotated out and stuff, and it was great. Everybody just kind of understood, as they say, understood the assignment. And they just got things handled and stuff. And it was really crappy when like I was an apartment head, and I went and I was like, hey, everybody chipped in money. And I cooked lunch for everybody on like a Saturday. I brought in a crock pot. I had some beef stew going that I made. Everybody chipped in some money, and then all the folks up front were like, same thing. It's like, what you got going on there, man? Like, I'm making lunch for my guy. And then I got told I wasn't allowed to do that because I didn't supply food for everybody. And I'm like, but I'm not a manager of the store. You guys have made that very clear. I'm a department manager. That's why I'm the range department head and not a general manager for the store. I'm like, there's a hierarchy here. And obviously, this is my wheelhouse. So I'm going to cover what's in my wheelhouse. And I was just like, I couldn't believe fucking like that was a big deal. And it's like, that's why I don't miss corporate and all this stuff. But like all of my guys, everybody back there, like those were my troops. Those were my folks that worked for me, and I worked for them and stuff. And it's like, why would that be a thing? Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent here. My bad. But
Shall get.
That's also a good point. And you can kind of comment on this too, Alamo, is like how you have that identity, that melting pot culture. Look at you, me, and our good friend John. Like we all had a great thing going on when we were stationed on the island of Misfit Toys, and all the other guys worked with us. And it's like we kind of had this rivalry with everybody else. It's like, oh, range guys. Like we were just marooned in the middle on the island of Misfit Toys, like I said. Everybody else is able to walk around and do stuff. We were always hustling and bustling and busting our ass and stuff. And it's like, so
we did always sell the most ammo, though.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Although John always had us had everybody beat.
Bro, why would you buy a box when you could buy a case? It's like 1,000 rounds. And they would just be like, I could buy 1,000 rounds of ammo. Absolutely. There's like this redneck Jedi mind trick shit. I'm like, how the fuck does this work? But I think that's a great example talking about the rivalry. So switching gears with that, like we were talking about, like it was us versus the sales staff. We kind of that's kind of where we just stayed all the time. And it is what it is. We worked harder.
Yar.
Constantly working hard. But if you take that, so let's take a step back and go back to the military on that. You kind of, by having that melting pot culture, you get ingrained with these folks, but then it kind of can lead to an unfortunate rivalry. So again, bear with me a little bit because this is a little bit of a stretch. Not much if you don't understand what I'm talking about, but if this is a new concept to you, just kind of hear me out for a second. So when you get into certain types of communities, like for us, Alamo and I, we didn't go together. We went, a couple years apart, obviously. Infantry school at Fort Benning is very, 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 it's very, very, in a way, it's a cult. Like they tell you, this is what the Army is based on. Everybody's in support of you. They put you up on this pedestal. So you kind of get this cocky arrogance a little bit, but in a way it's justified because they need young fucking people to go out there and do what they got to do. This is not an old man's game. It's a young man's game. So like, if you get in it when you're young, it's like, hey, go have fun with it. But as a result of that, like you kind of look at everybody else down at your nose and shit. Like, you're either a grunt or you're a pogue.
So, why Mako said what he said, I'm gonna put something up on the screen because you don't see a lot of this kind of stuff anywhere else. So that right there, look at that.
From these gates emerge the best trains, finest soldiers the world
has ever known. Follow me.
Fortis Fortuna Juvet.
Yes, sir. So you have, guys walking through essentially a gate that,
Can you bring up that picture a little bit bigger, dude, so they can see that?
I'm going to try.
Yeah.
Dagnabbit. Hold on.
Oh,
there's got to be a keyed one.
Let's go to visit down there.
Open in new tab. Oh, come on.
But then you got to share the new tab.
Yeah, freaking.
Okay, it happens, dude. It's all good.
But yeah, but anyway, no, it's not popping up the right way anyway.
All good.
But you know,
If you, the
just as
folks,
a
if you want to
general,
see this at home, what you need to do is look up. You need to look up. What is that again? It's that's Honor Hill. No, that's the
that's Sandhill.
the infantry gate at Sand Hill.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
and you'll see, and especially like that when it's at night with the glow of the bonfires in the background. It's an amazing sight. It really is.
Okay, I think it's not the nighttime shot like I would
Okay.
like, but it's still awesome. So hold on one second. We're gonna get rid of that. Stop sharing that, and we're gonna share. Boom.
Drum roll. Brrr. Ah,
Raw.
there we go.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Man, that's badass. Still to
I
this day.
got a picture of that. Brian and I went up there almost 10 years ago, and I got a picture of that gate real nice and clear. And I'm gonna put that as my background, dude.
Nice. Were you guys still were you guys still in at the time, or
Brian was, I was not. We went up and visited Jose. Jose was up there because I think that's when he was trying to go through Ranger School.
that's right.
So he was there. He had gone through basic. He had gone through airborne. Tried to go through RASP. Didn't make it through because he got injured and they med rolled him. And then from there, good push. And from there, he ended up out at Gordon as an instructor in the schoolhouse for 25 Quebec. So,
Nice.
which is the like maintainer, installer, repairer, maintainer for like radio communications and stuff. So 25 series is all combo stuff. So at least it was. I don't know if it still is. Yeah, there we go. So that's actually Brian actually has that bottom line, the Fortis Fortuna Juvat. He's got that tattooed on his body, on his back, I think.
Nice.
Yeah, it's dope.
Fortes Fortuna Juvat.
You know what that translates to, right?
I cannot remember. No.
Fortune favors the bold.
Ah.
So when you go through when you go through this whole thing, it's a great big ceremony. You go out there, the whole company gets out there. You get your blood rifles pinned on. You get them smacked into your chest, your blood rifles,
and everybody gets them pinned on.
Everybody, it's
black,
it's like
white, yellow, doesn't matter.
Exactly. Everybody's that's your big accomplishment. From there you can wear those, and then the next big thing is you go back and down the road, however long it is, you get your blue cord pinned on. Amazing, just absolutely amazing. So, that kind of makes that whole. It kind of gives you that sense of community, but that can also lead to a little bit of rivalry, even though you have this melting pot culture. So, think about you have infantry guys meeting non-infantry guys, and even breaking it down further than that, you can have infantry guys. Some are straight legs, and some are airborne infantry, and it's like there's a hierarchy there. There's always going to be a little bit of rivalry and hierarchy. Every time I talk to my friend Jose, he's like, "What's up, leg?" And I'm just like, here we go. Call me a dirty, nasty leg. Cool. I thought it would be a great tattoo to put like dirty and nasty in 2 vertical lines going down the back of my calves. That way people see me, they're like,
you know what? You know what? That
yeah,
that's pretty damn ingenious.
That's good.
That's
absolutely
pretty damn ingenious. I would have to keep my legs shaved all the time though.
Yeah.
I would have to.
And we move on. So
just saying, you got to keep them on display. Dude.
But if you think about it too, it's like there's all these rivalries that are built in, even though we have this strong sense of melting pot community and whatnot. I mean, even with
Delta November Lima,
you have, between the services. Yeah. I mean, like I mentioned, when I had all those guys working for me, we had a Ranger, we had a couple of Marines, we had an Air Force guy. At one point, we had a Navy guy. Like we used to all bust balls and bust chops and stuff, How many times have I caught shit because, oh, you were in the National Guard? Nasty girl, blah, blah, blah. So it is what it is. But
there's always some of that with that.
And there's always rivalry there. Absolutely. And it's not really necessarily a bad thing. And it's hard for people to understand. It's like, it's kind of like what the military is based on. It's like having fun, giving somebody a bunch of grief because they've been through something similar. It's like a way of saying, hey, I'm kind of tipping my cap to you a little bit. So, but a good friend of mine brought up a great example of talking about like the different types of law enforcement. So let's say you have, like city cops that belong under the jurisdiction of a certain city versus like a county sheriff's deputy where
Municipality, as they like to clarify.
thank you, municipality versus like county government type deal. I'm sure there's a little bit of rivalry and stuff there, because of the different nature of their jobs. Whereas here in Florida, because of the Constitution, you have the county sheriff being the highest level of law enforcement in this particular county by the Florida Constitution. And whatnot. They're also responsible for running the jail. So you think about city cops, they just dump them off at the jail and all that stuff, and they're done. Whereas you have the county sheriff's deputies, and actually there's most times there's two parts. You've got road deputies, which are law enforcement, and you've got detention guys, which work the jail. So I would imagine there might be a little bit of a rivalry between those guys that work the jail and guys that work the road and whatnot. But
well, I'm willing to guarantee there is. I never got a chance to stay around long enough to really see it, but I'm willing to guarantee it's there.
I know there's certain counties where you can go where like you can get dual certified, like you start off in the jail and then you go and you can switch over and work the road.
There was actually a guy that was certifying himself for the road while we were going through class. Like he was there for like I think like some of the hazardous classes.
So like the high risk stuff.
Yeah, so that way he could like get himself certed and so he could go out on the road. So yeah, absolutely.
So
there's a lot of certified guys.
He wasn't doing the full academy. He was doing like all the high liability stuff.
Yes.
So shooting, driving, OC, defensive tactics. Okay.
Yeah.
And he just needed that to get certified so he could go swap over and do the road stuff.
Yep.
I got you.
Basically.
But I would also think another form of rivalry, like. Probably one of the greatest rivalries that's not military is cops and firemen. Like they're constantly, you see a bunch of stuff, like at least in my feed, you'll see stuff where there's cops and firemen are kind of jabbing back and forth at each other and whatnot, and giving each other a blast of shit or whatnot. I think up in New York City, you have NYPD,
damn part-time arsonists,
and you have FDNY. I think they even have like different sporting events throughout the year. You have like a hockey game where you got like the cop squad and the fire squad teams going against each other. They've also got like smokers where they do like little boxing matches or some shit like that. So I mean, and
we learned a little bit about that because it's funny, like you mentioned that we actually had a guy, and it's funny. It's even funnier that, like in the state of Florida, like if you're going to be like a fire marshal, you have to get your law enforcement certification as well.
Yes.
And we had a guy that was he was actually and actively still working at the fire department, going through the academy with us, getting his certification so that he can get his fire marshal.
So when we were working together, I forget what the guy's name was. I think his name was John, but this guy used to come in all the time. Older guy, had a mustache, kind of like an 80s style haircut for a guy, but he was triple certified. He was a paramedic. He was a firefighter, and he also had his law enforcement credentials as well.
Mm-hmm.
So he was triple certified. And then recently I saw where
so then that means he had to go to the law enforcement academy to get his fire marshal. Yeah.
And I know that recently they actually did a thing. So they did a thing a while back, a few years ago, because there's actually, I don't know if you remember a guy named Ryan that used to work with us.
The bear Jew?
Not that Ryan. Ryan. Younger Ryan. I think he was trying to get in the Navy. He just was always in really good shape and stuff. I think his last name was Fife.
So.
Ryan Fife, so.
I think so.
He ended up joining the fire department for Hillsborough County. So he's with HCFR. And he actually went and they had so they put a bunch of firefighters through the law enforcement academy so that they could go and be SWAT medics. So now these guys are with the fire department, but they're also dual certified with the sheriff's office. and they have firemen that are now on these different tactical teams as medics and stuff. So I thought that's super damn cool. And they used to do that.
Dope.
They used to do that, but they
That's
kind of
pretty damn dopey dope. I'll give it to them. That's pretty damn dopey dope.
To be dual certified like that. Hell yeah, that'd be dope. But yeah, I mean, so it's not always a bad thing. I mean, sometimes the rivalries just kind of cease to be and whatnot. But we kind of just brought it up because of the whole like we talked about. You have all these retirees sitting around, just kind of shooting the shit, talking about the heydays of their careers and whatnot, and kind of. I love it when like you go somewhere like a Mission Barbecue and it's like Armed Forces Week and you get a bunch of the old vets sitting around and they're telling stories from back in their day.
Dude, we still got to do one of our episodes at a mission because
we do.
They've offered I still have her card actually. Now that I think about it, somewhere, but she offered to allow us to do it there. She wouldn't be able to do an interview. That's the only thing, but she still offered for us to be able to go in there.
Yeah, we'd have to give her an acknowledgement stuff. Absolutely. Maybe we can do that for when we start up our next season.
I like the sound of that.
Just a thought. So, but anyway, this is kind of a little bit of a hodgepodge conversation. We kind of bounced around a couple different areas, but it's basically because we had to kind of go and retool and kind of redo. And
we definitely did. We had a lot of notes and a couple of articles prepped for it, but then it was like
it would have led down a road that we didn't intend to go down, and that's not what the conversation was going to be about. We didn't want it to focus quite so much on the potential political aspect of the conversation. So that's why it kind of may seem a little bit disjointed, talking about the melting pot culture and rivalries and stuff. It is related, at least it was. But again, we had to kind of just redo it at the last minute. So, but again, it's still kind of an important thing. You go in and you have these different things where you have all this, you get exposed to all these different types of, cuisine and ways of life and culture and all this stuff. And then sometimes it can kind of like not exactly be great because you might have a great experience like with us being infantry guys, and you get some folks that look around. I'll tell you, like the one time I told the story a bunch of times. I had a kid in my car once. I was driving for Uber, and like you could put where you have like a tag, a sticker or something on your driver profile, and mine said veteran because I served and stuff. And the guy gets the car, goes, "Oh, you're a veteran?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Where'd you go?" I'm like, "I was in the Army." Like, "Cool, man." He's like, "I'm going to Fort Drum." I was like, "Nice, climb to glory." He goes, "Yeah, man. Like that's fun. Hope you like cold weather." He goes, "I'll get used to it." He's like, "Where'd you serve?" I was like, "I was in a National Guard unit here in Florida." And he goes, "Oh, that don't count." And I was just, "Would you like to know more?" "Yes, please explain how this is backwards thinking." So, this guy was like super cocky, and I'm an infantry guy. I was deployed overseas. I went to Afghanistan, and because I was in the National Guard, it just didn't count. He's like, "Well, you guys just have to go to drill once a month." I'm like, "Yeah, but I got to juggle all this other shit, being a parent, being a spouse, a college student, having a job, military service." It's like, you guys just get to go play G.I. Joe in the fucking field, not take a shower for 2 weeks and wash your ass with baby wipes. Boo fucking who, And I was just like, "Listen, man, I'm sorry. Like, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but I got more time in an Army shitter than you got in the freaking service. So, like, I really don't give a shit what the hell you're talking about. You can come at me all you want, but like, whatever, dude." It's like, so. I mean, just because of my branch of service, because of my component, I was a National Guard soldier. This guy was just like not having it, and there's an instantaneous rivalry there, and I'm just like, fuck off. So, anyway, that's
Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. Over.
Did you have anything else you wanted to add, dude, before we start wrapping it up?
Well, no. I mean, I think it was very pertinent to kind of bring this kind of thing up, like, because I mean, with everything that's going on in the world, everybody's divided into all these different freaking things nowadays.
Tribes, clans, groups,
tribes and clans, and all this other shit. And I don't know, man. I think we just need to come together, dude. I know I've said this a couple of times on the show, probably in the last like couple of years, but like, It's really freaking true, dude. Like we're too damn divided, and um, you know, I would quote the Abraham Lincoln quote, but I don't remember it off the top of my head right now. Um, but look up that quote, y'all. I mean,
What's the
it's
quote about? I'll try to look it up.
the a house divided, a house divided, or something like that.
Hold on a second.
I'm my brain is toast because I was out in the sun for like fucking 3 hours today. So, um, but yeah,
Oh, here we go. Lincoln's House Divided speech. Stand by.
gotcha. But yeah, man, we're just as a country, we're probably militarily speaking the most powerful we've ever been. But we are most definitely a house divided.
I think I got what you're looking for, dude.
The house that the fact that we haven't thrown bombs at each other yet, you know, is again both a relief and yet still it's disconcerting considering just how bad things have gotten. And
Is this the
I'm
quote you're
tired
talking
of seeing
about?
it, dude. Yeah,
A
go ahead
house,
with it.
a house divided against itself cannot stand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Like,
honestly, we're at that point, dude. We're at that point where it's all it's gonna take. You remember in the Dark Knight where freaking Joker's talking about, oh, the Golden Boy. all he needed, all
just
he
tell us the
needed,
movie quote
whatever.
without reenacting it, dude.
Oh,
Jesus.
and he just ends it like that. Like
For the
that.
people
That's where we're at
listening,
right now, dude.
listen. For the people listening to this and not watching it, I guarantee you that your voice came over their car stereo or whatever listening device they're using, and they just got weirded the fuck out. They're like, "Oh God, yeah, he did the Joker voice." Jesus.
My father was a drinker
Okay,
and a
okay, okay.
fiend.
Let's focus. We're almost at the finish line. Let's focus.
But
You're not wrong.
I
I
think.
get what you're saying about that part. Yes, I agree 100%. That's a great
But no,
reference to that, by
I
the
mean,
way.
as crazy as the guy sounded in the movie, and as great, like Heath Ledger did a fantastic job in that film. But as crazy as it
100%.
sounds, dude, it's 100% true. We're on that precipice right now. We're on
And
that precipice right now where it's like just a little
yeah.
is all it's going to take.
And the other
And
quote that's
it's ridiculous.
that's almost equally important to that is when Alfred talks about being in Africa and the guy like doing the robberies and all the stuff. He goes, "Some
Ah,
people just want to watch the world burn." Yes.
I remember that part. He was holding a ruby the size of a tangerine. Well, why did he just throw the gems in there? Well, because he thought it was good sport. He thought it was fun. Some men, Master Wayne, don't care about money, fame. Some men just want to see the world burn.
I closed my eyes for like a half a second and I could hear that man's voice. I could hear Michael Caine and not you over the damn radio. It's crazy. Dude, we got to talk about you getting into voice work. Jesus. What else did you want to add, dude?
No, man, just look the we bring up the rivalries to bring up the fact that at the end of the day, we all came to freaking together
Yeah.
because we were all facing one freaking common thing. We were all working against like one common goal. And honestly, like I said, like if we can't come together as a country, um, and understand that there's a hell of a lot more that brings us together than divides us. I don't see how we're going to get past this. I really don't. And that's not me just trying to be a pessimist. I honestly am trying to be a realist. You know.
I mean, to double tap on what you were talking about, I agree. We need to. It's okay to acknowledge it. Like, hey, everybody does something a little bit different. You've been in the military, you might not have. If you're in the military, you're in different branches. Inside of that branch, you had different jobs. That's okay. You served your country. That's great. And if you don't, hey, no skin off your neck, whatever. It's fine. Not everybody's meant or supposed to serve. It's not in there. It's not in the cards for them. We're not trying to say that, that's a bad thing. Not everybody. Jesus, dude. Are you okay?
I had tacos for lunch.
There you go.
Yeah.
Jesus, Paul, I can smell you. Um, um, anyway, sorry, I got distracted there. But it's okay to understand that there's differences. That's what makes us great, If everybody was the same, how boring would that be? That's why there's 88 keys on a piano. If you have different tones and different keys and stuff, you get them together, you can make harmonies and music. Otherwise, it's always the same note all the time, even though you play a syncopated rhythm. It's terrible. It's crap.
Yeah.
Okay. Even though we are different, that's what makes us so grand as a group. So
Literally.
that's all I got on that.
Literally.
You got anything else?
Nah.
Cool.
I think I said what I'm gonna say.
Awesome. So again, folks, thank you for bearing with us as we kind of waded our way through this show topic today. Again, it was meant to be entitled something different, but we kind of had to rework it the last minute just because of it could cause some unintentional fallout and some ire and some not. So we just kind of had to retool it, take it back to the drawing board. But again, thank you for listening and being part of this and potentially possibly watching it as well. Please tell us how you feel about the conversation. Do you agree with what we said? Do you not agree? We'd love to engage and have a conversation with you. You can do that a bunch of different ways. You can make comments on our YouTube page. You can go on to our Gmail. We'll talk about that here in a little bit as we close out the show. But we'd love to hear and get some feedback from you guys. I mean, this is how we get better as a team. We can kind of help guide us into some conversations that you want to hear about and all that good stuff. So, as we mentioned earlier, Alamo and I have been friends for a long time, and there's a little bit of a story with how the show got started. So, as we also mentioned earlier, we went to high school together. I was a senior. Alamo here was a freshman. 9/11 happened. That kind of changed the trajectory of our lives. We both ended up serving in the post 9/11 GWAT military in the Army. Both did that, came back, ended up working a job in the retail sector. Met this dude, John, who was one of our very close friends and coworkers. John was hilarious. He was a funny, damn dude. And if John can't be described, he would just have to be experienced. You'd have to just go through the shenanigans with him to understand what that was like. Just we had so much damn fun. We made fun, and I'm very still surprised all these years later that we didn't get in more trouble or get
That
fired.
we were able to do. Yeah.
But that was just the nature of that job. Like Jeff and I were like, "Hey, can we go do this real quick? I don't want to know about it." And we looked at each other like, he didn't say no. Let's do it now before he changes his mind. But it was great. We had a good group. We had a bunch of dudes that were there that were fantastic. It was fun. It was my first big boy job where I was an adult, and it was great. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. So we kind of went our own way, and then Alamo and I got back together. We lived in different parts of the state. Your lovely wife, Tisha, asked me to take part in an event for her organization called Flipside Mentorship. If you got a hot second, go over to flipsidementorship.com. Check out what they're doing. They are doing amazing things by changing tomorrow today. The work that they're doing with kids and, just the wonderful souls behind that organization are fantastic. Please check it out. Give them a look, see what they got going on. Flipsidementorship.com. Big shout out to Tisha. Love you, boo. You're doing great things. Keep up the good damn work. So she asked me to be a part of that, and we had a blast. And Alamo and I just got to pal around and be asshats, and it was fun. And you came up to me afterwards. You're like, dude, we've got to get the band back together. And I was like, yeah, that'd be fun. What are we going to do? And you mentioned a podcast. And I was like, I don't know shit about a podcast. And you're like, dude, they put a monkey in outer space. How hard can it be? And I was like, Wow, that makes a lot of sense and no sense at the same time. I don't know how it's connected, but that's tracking. Sure. So
Yep,
we were
yep.
kind of put on the back burner. Down the road a ways, I saw a message from a post from somebody that was a friend of John's saying that John was gone. He had solved a temporary problem with a permanent solution and committed suicide. And that was just so tragic to hear because it's hard to hear about the statistics behind that, but it's worse when it's somebody you know. I don't know. I think you said you've like known 5 or 6 guys. Like that's got to be such a rough thing to talk about. When you talk about your friends in the past tense and stuff, it's just like my dad will be gone for I think this year I think it's 8 years he's been gone,
Yeah.
and my brother will be 3, and like it's still weird to talk about him in the past tense and stuff. So it's like so I called you and I was like, "Did you hear about John?" And you were like, "No, I got to reach out to him for his birthday." And I was like, "You can't. He's gone." And then I mentioned, I was like, "Dude, you talked about the podcast. Like, I'm in. Like, let's do this." So we started talking and conceptualizing like what the show was going to be about, and we kind of focused on issues for the military, the veteran communities, first responders as well. And we kind of came up with the name, the Battle Bros Podcast. We came up with the I don't want to say the mission statement, but we kind of came up with like what the driving force is going to be. We also came up with the Battle Bros Code. What the Bros Code is if you're having a rough day, what the Bros Code does, it's 4 easy things you can remember to help get yourself in uh, to a superior position to keep the fight going, to fight to another day. So if you can just remember the letters BROS, you will have a good chance of getting yourself to where you got to be to improve your fighting position and make yourself get to the hilltop for a superior position. Okay. So be tenacious. No matter what you choose to do in life, do it with tenacity, do it with fervor, do it with fire in the gut, piss and vinegar in your veins, all that good stuff. Okay. Whatever you choose to identify as, whether it's a mentor, a leader, a parent, a teacher, a therapist, somebody that does some kind of service work or something, whatever, doesn't matter. Just go out there and do it to the fullest and utmost of your abilities. Give 100% as best you can. Okay. In the words of the great Ron Swanson, don't half ass 2 things, whole ass 1 thing. Be tenacious. As what's his fate? What was the guy's name? Sean Connery said from The Rock. You know, Nicolas Cage's character says, "I'll do my best." He's like, "Your best." Losers complain about their best. Winners go home and fuck the prom queen. Be tenacious and go fuck the prom queen.
Indeed.
R. Refuse to surrender. At various times in your life, there's going to be things that happen that are going to knock you down in an attempt to get you to quit, to return, to retreat, go back to where you came from, all that good stuff. Try to remember that these are tests, okay? Do not allow yourself to give in and surrender to these obstacles, all right, to these tests, to these different things that come up, okay? Sometimes you got to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, pull out your trusty compass and map, reshoot your azimuth, figure out where you're at, and then move out, okay? Going along with that, obliterate your obstacles. Whatever those obstacles look like, it could be trudging through a chest deep river downstream for a while. It could be going over a minefield where you got to, shoot some Bangalores over that stuff and take it out. It could be a wall. It could be going over, around, or under. It could be knocking the wall of an existing structure down with yourself, some buddies, explosives, an armored vehicle. Who knows? Whatever the case may be. No matter what happens, obliterate your obstacles and get yourself moving to the X, hit the X, and move towards the OBJ. Okay. Last but not least, hold on, I gotta wet the whistle a little bit. Get a little dry, a
Wetting the whistle.
little bit parched. A lot of talking tonight. Last but not least, S. Seek out help in a time of need. As you mentioned with our good friend John, I really wish that he would have sought some help and realized he didn't have to go through things alone. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know what kind of issues or demons he might have been facing, but they eventually succumbed. He eventually succumbed to them, and that's a tragedy because John was a great dude, worth knowing, and he deserves to be here. If him being here meant we didn't have this show, I would take that in a heartbeat. Okay. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do to bring him back. We can just keep his name alive by telling the story as many times as we can. So, if you ever feel like you're in a tough spot and you don't know what to do, reach out to somebody. We are social creatures by design. Okay. So, reach out to somebody, whether it's a friend, a family member, a loved one. If you are a military vet or somebody, if you have a friend who's been through a similar type of experience in your life, whether it's working at the same place, having a same kind of career or something. I just use the example of the military, but it could be whatever. Um, Reach out to somebody because who better to understand what you're going through than somebody who's been in your shoes and walked a mile in those shoes. Okay. Um, if you don't have somebody that you can reach out to, there are options out there for you. If you feel like you're going to harm yourself, I would please ask you to not go down that road because there's it's the road of no return. Okay. Um, if you feel like you're going to harm yourself and you don't have anybody to reach out to, there are options and resources out there for you. If you feel like you're going to harm yourself, there is the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. You can reach them a number of different ways. You have the 800 number at 1-800 273 8255. Again, that's 1-800 273 8255. You can also call 988. Again, that is 988. You can also text them at 838255. Again, that's 838255. Um, for the phone numbers, you can reach, or the text, you can reach them at, I think you select option one, where you want to talk to somebody, a live operator. They have people there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to help you in your time of need. Um, and just know that, that's what they're there for. They're there. That is a resource for anybody to use. Our biggest part of this podcast, besides remembering John's name, is trying to stop this right here. At one point, 22 veterans a day on average were choosing to end their lives. That number recently and unfortunately has gone up quite a bit. It could be as high as 30 or even more. Okay. 22 a day is just the number that an organization called Till Valhalla Project uses. They do a lot of stuff for veterans' families and people that have died in the line of duty for like police and fire and whatnot. They've got a very cool mission set that they do. So please check them out at tillvalhallaproject.com. That's where I got this bracelet from. I bought a bunch of their shirts. When you buy merchandise from that, it helps them to prevent veteran suicide, which is why we are so happy to support them. Um, but again, like if you have somebody you can reach out to, please do. If you don't, reach out to somebody, resource or whatnot. The whole idea is to keep our veterans here. Um, we're losing a lot of us from the GWAT generation. Um, please help us break the stigma and not, and helping others realize that, like, hey, it's not taboo to talk about mental health. It's not something you have to go through alone. Okay. You have
Yeah.
people out there that will help you if you allow them to. Okay. So if you can remember those four things: be tenacious, refuse to surrender, obliterate your obstacles, seek out help in a time of need, you should set yourself up pretty good for success, at least to get through the end of the day. And guess what? You can wake up the next day and keep fighting, and the next day and the next day, and you can put the stuff in the rear view and go and live yourself a somewhat happy life. Okay. So please do that. That is part of what we're doing with this podcast. So, on that note, I am done with my component of the closer. I'm going to hand it off to Alamo here. He's going to talk about all the social media stuff, and then we will wrap it up for this week. So, take it away there, Gay.
Um, social medias, we got them. So
Sorry, social media. Yeah, we got him. Yeah,
social medias, we got them.
dude, I got to
You
tell
can.
you. Remind me to tell you a story when you're done. That just reminded me of something that happened at work today. Ugh,
So,
jeez.
if you want to catch up with us on the social medias, you can catch up with us on Facebook, you can catch up with us on Instagram, and you can catch up with us on the Twitter. You want to go to Facebook, all you got to do is go to facebook.com/battlebros.podcast, or just put battlebros.podcast in the search bar. You'll find us there. Same thing with the Instagram. Go to Instagram and then type in at battlebros_podcast, and you'll pull up our page. And then if you want to go to the Twitter, which I've got to get on checking that thing because I haven't checked it in a while. Um, we are at Battle Bros PC. Just type all one word at Battle Bros PC right there in the search bar, and you can find us there. And you can instant message us those on either one of those platforms. Let us know how we did. Give us some ideas, some subjects matters you guys want to hear about, and we'll go from there, man. And honestly, we'll keep this thing going. Just share whatever platform it's on. Um, we're on here on YouTube every Friday at 9 p.m. And I think some of the best things that you can do is to comment, share, because you never know who's going to really need this message beyond what you're hearing. Sometimes that message that week might not even be for you, and you're just not even thinking about it until and then it clicks. You're like, oh wait, somebody else needs to hear this. Let me share it to somebody. And for us, the biggest thing is, as long as what we're doing, even though it's simple, you know what I mean, stops one as long as it stops one person from making a permanent decision that shouldn't be made, that's honestly that would mean the absolute world to us. So for us, it comes down to sharing it, talking about it, liking the subject, or excuse me, the videos. Even when you get on the Spotify, you can follow, you can comment on the episodes there on the Spotify, um, and it kind of helps us get some recognition. It kind of and it the more engagement we have, the better. And because it allows the algorithm to pick up, like, oh, people are actually listening and engaging this. And I think that's probably more pertinent than just the sharing it is great, but engagement is also even better, because then we get to talk directly to you guys. um, if you like the platforms that you see us on, that's great. But if you don't, and you want to see us on something else, we do upload to Rumble. It's been a hot minute since I've uploaded to Rumble, but I will have those episodes up there. It's just, new job, new walk of life. It's been rough, man. It's been difficult to be able to get to uploading the episodes the way I want to, but I will have them uploaded. I
It's like trying to
promise.
juggle 27 things at once, and I'm not an octopus. I got two hands.
Yeah. hmm But
Heard that, buddy.
yeah, man. Whatever platforms you like listening to us on, I mean, go ahead and listen to us there. But it goes nowhere without being shared. So that's why we ask you guys, hey, share, and comment. Engage, because we want to know what you guys are thinking, and we want to know if you guys have any input or have any subject matters you'd like us to discuss, because we want to know that too. Other than that, I think we're pretty good for the week, and I'm glad we had this conversation. It kind of sucks that we can't say certain things without the YouTube algorithm kind of flagging us, if you will. But you know, I guess that's the reality of the world now, especially with all
Oh yeah,
this nonsense.
I
But
look at it.
you
I
know,
honestly look at it like a happy challenge. I mean, we do want to get our message out there, which is why we're willing to just stop and say, hey, let's retool this a little bit so that we don't get flagged. We still get our content out there, so we can help somebody that might need it. Like
yeah,
Alamo said, if we could save one person, that to me, as appreciative and thankful and humbled I am by the followers of this show. We couldn't do this well without you folks at home. But if we had one person approach and say, "Hey, I heard you guys' show. I was on the precipice of that cliff, getting ready to dive into the abyss, and I stopped and pulled myself back. And I appreciate you guys helping me get there. That would mean the absolute world. That would just be
Yes, sir.
that would be the cat's meow, the cat's pajamas, the bee's knees, all that good shit. It would just mean the absolute amazing thing that we could help somebody. That means that we're doing our job. You know,
Or as they used to say in our generation, that would be absolute tits.
tits. Exactly. Oh man. So again, folks, thank you for being part of our convoluted conversation. This has been episode 130, entitled Melting Pot Culture and Its Unfortunate Rivalries. Hopefully that makes some sense now that you're on the far side of the conversation that we've had. You're like, oh, okay, get it now. We have 2 more episodes for the season, episode 131 and 132. So we'll be on here for 2 more weeks, and we're going to take a break for summer.
One tree, one tree.
So hopefully you get to catch those before we kind of take a break and step away from a little bit. Just enjoy some time with our families and stuff. But in the meantime, thank you so much for being part of our conversation and for being part of our journey with us. Please remember that you are not alone. There are people out there that will help you. You just have to know where to find them. It may be somebody you don't know personally, but it could be a stranger, and they won't go from being a stranger to being somebody that you respect their opinion and whatnot. So, above all else, folks, remember, be tenacious, refuse to surrender, obliterate your obstacles, and seek out help in a time of need. If you can do those 4 things, you're going to get yourself on the right side of things and help yourself along down the road. So, this has been episode 130 of the Battle Bros podcast. My name is Mac. This handsome SOB over here is Alamo, son of Boricua. Not SOB in that sense. Son of Boricua. We are the Battle Bros. Thank you so much for being part of us. Enjoy the rest of your Friday night, and we will see you next week. So take it easy.
Battle Bros out. Later.